Right, hello, good evening, and welcome to video or live stream number 2 of the day. Getting into this now. Okay, this is going to be an updated version of the stream I did just a little while ago with an introduction to Lichess. So I'm going to go back over some of the things I spoke about earlier because although I'm new to this streaming thing and OBS, I've just found out something else. We can do something called window capture as opposed to working off a URL address. So I only discovered that a few minutes ago whilst I was mucking around with OBS. So I'm going to cover some of the stuff that I covered earlier in the other introduction to Lichess video because now we can actually see some of the features that I was actually talking about. So we'll start off on the screen that we're actually on here, which basically is my profile page. So this has got my little intro, which tells you a little bit about me and how I got to this place now. And as it says here, found BYP videos and found chess could be fun. So BYP makes some fantastic videos. They're great for beginners because he does them in such a fun way. Even if you've never played the game before, you'll find his way of delivering videos absolutely fabulous. And you don't need to be a chess master to follow the moves because he does it slowly and he gives his take on what's going on. And basically I learnt more from watching his videos than I did watching loads of other videos, simply because of the way he delivered content. So that's great stuff from you, Professor. So if I can get close to delivering some of the content that you've done, I should be well happy. So anyway, straight in, and this is my profile page, so it shows where I am from roughly, and in the middle of the screen here we've got my ratings for the various games and styles of chess that are available, and it shows the sort of things that I've been up to. On the left hand side it shows the different types of game that you can play. So there's Bullet, which is really fast stuff, Blitz, which again is, well, fast but not quite so fast, so games 3 to 8 minutes, Rapid 8 to 25 minutes, Classical 25 minutes or more, and then correspondence games, which means you can set 1, 2, 3 or 10 days or unlimited times between moves. So this is great, like I said in the previous video, for people that are at work and just want to play 5 minutes a day or whatever and don't want to be under pressure to complete games, or they're maybe not able to complete games. And then there's versions like anti-chess, which don't ask me to explain it. Atomic, well, that's the version where bits blow up for some reason. And then the puzzle section, so it shows there that my puzzle rating is 1499. It was down at about 1100, 1200, and it's been up to 1500 and back down to 1200 and back up to 1500 again. So that's the way the things work. So I'm just going to fly through this stuff really again. So you're new to Lichess, you've joined up, you've signed up, you've created your profile, and okay, you go to the menu tab over here. You create a game. Hopefully, right? Yes, okay, that seems to be working. So you can create a game here, and again you've got the variations: Crazy House, Chess 960, King of the Hill, etc., etc. You can choose a version, you can choose a time, whether it's real time, correspondence, or unlimited, and you can use these sliders here, backwards and forwards, to set the time. And this is where you can set your increments, and the increment basically is every time you make a move, the increment time is added to what time is left on the clock. And then you can choose to either play casual or you can play rated games. So there's no pressure to do either of them. It's entirely up to you. If you want to try and improve your rating, then select rated games. If you're not that worried about ratings, then just select casual if you want, and then your rating scores aren't affected. And then finally you can choose to be either black pieces, white pieces, or it'll be a random side if you choose the middle option. Okay, and then when you do that, that puts you into the lobby. Okay, so the lobby is accessed here in the middle. Okay, and the lobby is people that have chosen to offer themselves up for games, and it shows who they are, their rating, and the games that they want to play. And just to play a game, you just click on it, and it will take you to the game, and you start playing. The time frames are over here, so there's a game here that's playing half a minute. So I mean that's that's far too good for me, so I wouldn't even bother with that. So me personally, I'd go for sort of games that are at least 15 minutes long with a time increment on. RSK Ashes gave us a tip and said, yeah, if you're going to do time games, time games, then 15 plus 15, something like that, is a good one to go for. I've tried some of the shorter games of minute, 2 or 3 minutes, but I'm not good enough for those games, and by the time we're 3 or 4 moves in, forget it, I've lost anyway. So there's a rankings boards down the bottom for tournament winners, leaderboards, and there's a current game that's being played. This shows comments in your forum area, which is where I go from time to time, and it shows how many players and games are in play. And here you can play with a friend or play against the computer if you want. So if you don't want to play online and you want to play against the computer, then you can click here, play with the computer, and then you've got 8 levels to choose from, one being not too hard but still good enough to beat me, and 8 which is like seriously good. So if you want a real challenge, then you can choose level 8, and if you're pretty good, you'll probably get a spanking at level 8. No, maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, you can choose anything between 8 levels, and you can set the standard or the variant, sorry. So again, any of these games, and the time again. So good place to maybe learn if you want how to play any of these games, the variants of the normal game of chess. Okay, so we're not going to do anything there. Tournaments. Okay, so this is the tournament screen. I've only played a few of these, and again, it says what each tournament is and how long they go for and how many players are in there, and usually what the standard is, or if they want you to have played a certain amount of games. And then if you want to go and join one, click on it, and then it'll give you the option to join maybe. Okay, so right, and simultaneous exhibitions. Okay, so this is where it shows exhibitions that are available for you to potentially go and join. And it will show here who's hosting it, the type of game, who they are, and their ranking, and the number of players that they are looking to play against. And you can host one yourself if you feel up to doing that. And then to join, just click on the simul and go and see if you can get accepted to play. I've only done 3 or 4, and I've been accepted in the ones that I've done. So I don't know if individual hosts decide that they're, if you're not good enough, they're not going to have you in there. Whatever, I don't know. That's up to each individual. Okay, chess basics on the learning tab. So this basically takes you through all the pieces, capturing the fundamentals, capturing, protection, combat, checking one, defending your king, mate, and so on, all the way down until it gets to the point, if you're an absolute total beginner, where you'll hopefully have enough information to go at least have a try. Okay, puzzle section, really good. So it loads a puzzle up, gives you all the pre-moves. These are from actual games, and then it tells you here, your turn, find the best move for white, and it'll be either or, find the best move for white or black. And at the bottom of the screen here is my own record at the moment, and the green ones are puzzles that I've done successfully, and the red are ones where I've failed. So I'm quite good at the ones that don't score too highly, and not too good at the ones that are good. But anyway, that's the more you play, the better your rating gets. So it's in trying to incentivise you to keep going. My aim is to try and get 15 green scores along the bottom here. I haven't got near to doing that yet, but that's my aim. So at some point I'll have 15 green ones along here. So it gives you a position, and then the idea is you look at this position and you try and find the solution, and you don't know what the solution is until you make a move. And I'm not going to do it because I don't want to lose points, because I'm not going to sit here that long and looking at this. But the idea is if you get it right, this score down the bottom here, your puzzle rating will go up. If you get it wrong, your puzzle rating will go down. So it'll either be, and it'll stick a plus or a minus score in the last box here. And if you can't work it out, then click view the solution, and it will take you through the move or moves that this particular puzzle needs to be solved. And like I said in the previous video, this doesn't make mistakes. All these puzzles are fully computer checked, so on and so forth. So all the answers are going to be right no matter what you think. Okay. But it's a great way to try and get learning and understanding positions, and trying to see how pieces move around the board, and see if you can work out threats and stuff like that. So that's the puzzle section. Practice again. So this is similar to the chess basics, but a bit more, slightly more advanced. And it takes you through learning sessions where you can learn how to checkmate with checkmate patterns, piece checkmates, and then using maybe a knight and a bishop to checkmate. So it starts to get harder and harder and harder, and then it goes through some tactics, things like the pin, where you'll put one. Say you've got your knight, your opponent's paid his knight out, and you put the bishop next to the knight, which will pin it potentially against the king or the queen. Okay, so that's the idea of the pin. But I mean, go through all of these. There's a whole section of here. I mean, there's stuff I've been on here months, and there's stuff here I haven't even looked at myself yet. Chess is a very, very involved game, but great fun to learn, and there's lots to learn. Coordinates again, so this is where it starts training, and the idea is that you get to learn where the squares are, but there are no letters and numbers available for you to cheat with. So the idea is you've just got to try and work out in your head as quickly as you can. If it asks you to highlight G3, you've got to try and remember where G3 is from whichever side of the board it displays. So here we're doing it from black. So in white, G3 would be over here, but of course it isn't on black, so it would be over, G3 is over here. Okay, I hope I've got that right, anyone watching. And the idea is you complete these against the clock, and it tells you how many you've done and your average score and so on and so forth, and the idea is to get as many correct in the time as possible, but you have to think really, really quickly. Community, we'll skip this bit here for the time being. The community, loads of players that are available, and you can search for players on here. A lot of these are Grandmasters and FIDE Masters, FMs and IMs, International Masters. So if you're new to chess, those are IM means International Master, FIDE Master is FM, and GM is Grandmaster. So anyone with one of those in front of their names is basically pretty good. And on the right hand side it shows their ranking. Okay, so 2975 is pretty good. I don't know how that compares against Magnus Carlsen. I don't know how these scores would relate to the scores that he's rating or whatever, but you can be assured that anyone with initials in front of their name is going to be pretty good. Okay, so yeah, 2,600 plus. That's a good player. Okay, don't expect to beat any of them. Okay, so where are we now? Teams. Okay, so there's teams. I'm in the Backyard Professor fan club, and I joined this one basically to play against an IM, I think he is, and you have to join to play in a simul. But this is my main place here, which is the BYP fan club. and the forum area. Okay, so this is the main Lichess forum. So once you've joined, I think it takes a day or two before you're actually able to comment in here. But there are various team boards and the Backyard Professor fan club. If you want to join that, and I would suggest that you do, because it's a great fun place to play. And it doesn't matter what your level is. If you're a complete and utter total beginner, never been on a chessboard before, there are some great people on here, and everyone's in to help each other. And it's a really great fun place to be. And yes, the Backyard Professor does come on here, and yes, I have played him a number of times, and as he's played loads of other players within the club. So there's some really good players in there, and you'll find players at your own level. You'll find players that are much better than you. Not difficult for me to do that, but these guys are all really good, and they'll play games with you. They never look down their noses at you because you're much lower rated than what they are. In actual fact, the opposite applies. These guys are all out there to try and help us improve. Probably a bit late in life for me to get much better than what I am, but I'm trying. So thanks to you guys out there. You know who you are in the BYP fan club, that go out of your way to try and help players like me improve. So there's a real team spirit on the fan club. So if you want a place to join and come and meet other players, then the BYP fan club is a great place, and it's a very active forum, well managed, no silliness in there. Yes, we can have a bit of a laugh and a joke, but it's all done in the right spirit, and that's the main thing at the end of the day. Right, so from here. We'll go to the tools. Okay, the analysis board. So this is where the computer can help you. So we've got Stockfish turned on up here in the right hand corner, and under here it sort of like gives you a list of moves and percentages for different moves, where where e4 has been played. White has won 33%, 42 draws, and 25% for black, for example. But that's just to give you an idea. And the little arrow here is the move that the computer suggests that you would play to open. So if we played that, it then suggests the next move for the black pieces. And I've done this through a couple of times, and basically you end up as a draw. So whether I've done it right or wrong, I've just seen where it would go, just following the arrows and the moves suggested by Stockfish, and it's ended up with a draw. So I guess that's maybe the way it's supposed to work. I'm no real expert, but there we go. Okay, so opening Explorer. There we go. Is it going to load for me? Oh, come on. Oh, terrific. Right. Okay, board editor. So here allows you to start a position. So if you've got a position that you want to play from, then you can just use these pieces. You can remove these bits off the board and move them around and leave them there, and then continue from here, or you can study from that particular position. Okay. Studies was back over on the Learn Of. Forgot about that, so I'll go back to that. Okay, studies. Okay, these are studies that other players have done that you can go and have a look at. I don't know, there's loads in there. And then you've got studies that you can create yourself. So if I just click on my public studies, these are a few I've had a go at. But chess is a time thing. You need to spend loads and loads of time at it. So you dip your toe in and out of these. So I tried doing studies on the Lopez, and because I don't really know anything more than the Lopez, and I've been trying to look at the London system, and because basically until I joined this club I didn't even know what an opening was. I just moved a few pieces around and then lost against whoever I was playing, usually the PC or whatever. So the first thing to do was to try and find an opening or the first few moves of an opening to try and get a start in a game. Okay, and And then coaches, well, you can go to coaches and that will load up in just a second. Come on, well, maybe. Yep, it's doing it now. Okay, here's a list of coaches, where they're from, how good they are, and whether they're active and open and available to for you to go and take coaching from, should you wish to do that. And I would think that probably nearly all of these you've got to pay for their services, which I suppose is fair enough. Okay, not that I think anybody would be paying me to train. Thought it would be nice, but there we go. Okay, so that, because I learned that the first video I did was done with a URL capture, and so a few minutes ago I thought, oh, what's window capture? And I put window capture into OBS, and lo and behold, I can now show stuff that's happening actually on screen. So for those of you new to Lichess, okay, one cool thing you can do on here is draw arrows. Okay, so we'll use this. All I'm going to do is cover the piece moves. Really, you know, from here on in is going to be really for total beginners. So if you're beyond a total beginner and you know how pieces move, then perhaps you might want to switch off now, because we don't want you to become bored. But if you're a new player, you've not really played chess before, and you're not sure of moves, how pieces get around the board, then what we'll do is we'll carry on with those from here. So anyone that's going away, thanks very much for watching the updated version on Introduction to Lichess. Okay, for you newbies, new chess players, whether you're young or old, doesn't matter. This is a game for anyone and everyone. And at the outset, it looks like a really simple game. The idea being to capture the opponent's king, okay, or to trap it so it can't move, put it into checkmate, basically. Okay, so when the king's in checkmate, that means he's going to be taken and he's dead, and that means you win the game. So that is that's the prize, and that's the ultimate aim of the game. So it's a strategy game, and the better you get at it, the more important that strategy becomes, and the more there is to learn. And there's literally millions of moves to learn. Well, you can't learn them all, there's too many. So the most you'll ever do, unless you're seriously good, is you'll maybe try and remember the first few moves of an opening sequence. Okay, but we'll come to that in another video at some point. So basically, we're just going to do how pieces move, where they can move. So you've got your pawns along the front. Okay, you've got 8 of those, and then you've got 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, your queen and your king. Your knight and your bishops are your minor pieces, and then your rook and queen are your major pieces, and obviously you've got your king. Now the idea is to try and keep the king safe and to stop him being captured. So how do you do that? You maneuver your pieces around the board, and you put them in such a position is that this king would be taken or cannot move. Okay, so out of being captured, that's called check. So when you can place a piece where the king can be taken, that's called putting it into check. Okay, and if the king can't move out of check, then he's a goner. Okay, so that's the principle, the idea behind the game. So the pieces, right, your pawns can move either 1 square forward or 2 squares forward on their first move. Okay, and the first principle of chess is to try and control the center of the board. So that's the first thing you're looking to try and do in a game of chess, and don't really stray sort of beyond these moves. Don't start moving pieces like this on the other side of the board, because they're not good opening moves at all. Okay, so the idea is to try and control the center, the computer record is saying, well, you know, this should be my first move. So pawns can move 1 or 2 squares on their first go. Okay, but if you move it 1 square, then it can only move 1 square after that, and if you move it 2 squares, well, it can only move 1 square after that. The pawn's not allowed to jump. Okay, it's only allowed to move forward. Okay, so you can't go jumping over pieces no matter how much you'd like to. Okay, so to move a piece, you click on it. It shows with these dots where you can actually move that piece, the moves that are available to that piece. So you make your choice and you move as so. Okay, so that's a move for the pawn, and the idea is that black then follows with their move. Okay, so we're not going to go taking lots of pieces on here at the moment, other than to say that pawns capture in a diagonal fashion 1 square. Okay, so that's how pawns would capture. So obviously it's a turn-based game, so once white's had a go, it's then black's go, so black then might choose to move there, and we'll forget that the computer's telling us what to do here. This is just about how pieces can move around the board. Okay, so grabbing control of the center of the board is one of the main goals of the game in most openings, but that's really where you want to start, trying to get control of the center. And what you do is you use your other pieces to support the minor pieces. Okay, so your pawns. So the principles of chess are control the center, develop your minor pieces. Okay, so you want to get your knights and bishops out into the game as quickly as possible. You then want to bring your queen out, get your king to safety. Okay, so your king, make it as difficult as possible for your opponent to capture you. Okay, knights. Move. Right, okay. Up 2 and across 1, or across 2 and up 1. So from this position, okay, that knight is able to move to any of those 3 squares. So if you click on it, there it is. It shows you those are the squares that knight is available to move to. If you click on the bishop, the light squared bishop moves in a diagonal fashion and only moves on light coloured pieces. The knight is the only piece that can jump. Okay, so the knight can actually jump other pieces. It's the only piece on the board that's allowed to jump. So that's 2 up and across 1, left or right, or along 2 and up 1. It can move backwards, as I'll show you in a minute as well. So we'll just make another move for black, and we can move there, we can move there, and we can move there. Okay, so those are the next moves that are available to the bishop. Okay, but one of the things you try not to do is move the same piece twice in the opening. So what we're looking to do is get our light pieces out, or get our minor pieces out into the game and get them to good squares. And the idea of moving your pieces is just to improve your position. This will take you a fair while to pick up. It does take a while to understand how to protect pieces, how to move them into the best positions, but try not to leave pieces open to attack. Okay, so if black was to move here, we'd either have to take him, or we'd look to move our bishop to safety. So the light squared bishop moves. Oh, that's supposed to be an arrow. Okay, so why is it not working? Okay, try. Okay. So if we wanted to move that bishop again, those those are the 4 diagonals that we could move that bishop on. So you can see quite clearly the bishop is a very, very powerful piece in the right place. And really good players will tell you that in a lot of circumstances you're better having bishops on the board maybe than knights. But each position is different. But again, you know, that's a bit further down the road. So that's the way a bishop can move. And we've got a dark squared bishop here, which obviously operates. Whose go is it? Okay, it's white's move. Okay, well I'll just move the bishop out. Okay, now obviously if this was a real game you wouldn't be doing this, but I'm just showing you for purposes how the pieces move. At the bottom here is like a tape recorder icons, and this allows you to move back moves. Okay, so, and up here shows you the sequence of moves that you've played. So let's move. Whose go is it? Oh, it's black's move. Doesn't matter. We'll move pawn out again because all I want to do is just show these moves. So the bishops can't jump, but what it does is it can threaten pieces or squares. Okay, so for its next move, the bishop can only move there because it can't jump, but you may be looking at some point to either going in those directions. So that's the way the bishops move. The light squared bishop moves diagonals on the white squares or the light squares. The dark squared bishop moves diagonals on the dark squares. And if you've got both of them on the board together, it's called a bishop pair. Okay, and they're quite a good thing to have. Like I said, if you're well, a good thing to have on the board anytime if you can keep them on the board. But the better player you are, then the more important I think bishops probably are. Obviously, if you want to disagree with anything I'm saying, do so. Comments are welcome. But you know, these games are made by a beginner for beginners, so you know, they're not meant to be expert videos. And what I'm trying to do is give people a start in the game. Okay, now we come to the rooks. I'm going to have to move. Whose go is it? Black's go again. Okay, so we'll just move the queen out there. We'll move the bishop out here now, and we'll move the black knight here, and we'll move the queen out. Now this gets us to a really good position in chess where we can do what's called castling, and this is where you try and put your king to safety, and also what it allows you to do is what's called connect your rooks. So that means your rooks can then play as a pair. Okay, and really strong pieces to use, especially when they're used on files. Okay, so rooks belong on files, and open files particularly. Okay, one of the backyard professors' pillars of chess. Open files. I'd never heard of open files until I started watching his videos, and I thought, oh, okay, well that sort of makes sense. So, but that's for another video. Okay, so castling. Basically, what this allows you to do, I'll just move black. What this allows us to do is move castle kingside. Okay, so moving castling short or castling kingside means we move our king there, and it moves the rook automatically for us there. Okay, now you can only do this if this rook hasn't moved and the king hasn't moved, or you're not playing through check. So if there was a direct line through here, let's say this was a black bishop, okay, let's say this was a black bishop here and not a white one, okay, you couldn't castle this side because it would mean playing through a line of check here, this being a square where the king would be in check. So the king's not allowed to castle through a checked square. Okay, now we can also do what's called castling long or castling queenside. So that allows us to move the king this way, and brings this rook right out into the middle of the board. and then we'll just make another black move just as we can do something here, and then that may well be the next move after you've castled, especially if you've castled queenside, and that means that the king is then protecting this square as well. Okay, so this is what's called connecting your rooks. Okay, right, and your rooks, let's just play a couple more moves. Okay, and again, you know, I'm not playing as if this was an actual game. Right, black has got to go here. Okay, well, I'm just going to move there. Right, so taking pieces. Okay, pawn captures diagonally, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this black pawn recapture that white pawn, because now we're going to talk about the thing I was talking about just now, and that's open files, and this is where rooks really do come in to their own. When there is nothing on this file here, nothing in front of a rook, when there's nothing on a file in front of a rook, except maybe another piece, that's really good. And if you can get, I know we can't put the key. Right, hang on a second. I've got to move another piece here myself. I'm clever, aren't I? Right, okay. So let's move that bishop there. We'll move that knight down here. Let's say the king's there. Okay, this suddenly becomes a very powerful piece. So any time, oh, what's going on there? So any time you can get your rook opposite your king, opposite the opponent's king, or opposite the opponent's queen, that's a really good thing to do. And if you see your opponent put their rook opposite your queen, one of the first things you should be looking to do is move it out of the way. Even if there's 3 or 4 pieces between you, it doesn't matter. Those pieces can move really quickly. So if your opponent puts your rook opposite your queen, then try and get your queen out of the way. And the same thing would be for your king. Again, you know, if you haven't moved your king to safety, then you really ought to seriously think about doing that. But getting your king to safety as quickly as possible is one of the prime considerations in the game. So we'll go back to the beginning. Okay, so you just click the rewind arrow to the left here, and that takes us right back to the very beginning. So to recap, okay, pawns move 1 or 2 squares to start with. Okay, and once a piece is moved, it can't be moved. If it's only moved one square on its first go, it can't then move 2. It has to move 2 on the first go, and then every move after that is 1, and the pawn can't jump. Okay, knights. Okay, click on the piece and it shows the available squares. Knights can jump. It's the only piece in the game that can. Okay, we'll move another black piece. Oh no, it's whites to move. Okay. Again, we'll just move that piece out. So try and gain centre of the board. So if you were able to, this would actually be not too bad a position. So the idea being to get your minor pieces out into the game as quickly as you can. And then we'll make another move here for black, and then get your king to safety by castling. So those are the moves that the pieces make. Remember, pawns move forward 2 squares or 1 square to start with, but 1 square after they've moved. Knights 2 up and 1 across, or they can move backwards. So from here, that knight can move here. Stupid thing. Oh, come on. Okay, so it helps when the mouse wants to work. Okay, well anyway, okay, click on the piece and it shows you the squares that are available to the knight. So the knight, if you can get the knight in the centre here and get it controlling 8 squares, there's a really great game where I think it was Bobby Fischer managed to control 8 squares and win a game with a knight. Fabulous game to watch. It's one of the games I think that BYP did. He's done so many I can't remember now. But anyway, so the knight can be a very powerful piece in the right place. But that's how it moves. So when you click on a piece, it shows any of the places that can move. Your bishops move in diagonals again. Can't jump, so they can only move as far as they can go unless you're going to capture. Okay, so what we can do is capture that piece. All right. Or we can choose to maybe move it just to there, where it can't be taken at this point. What we wouldn't choose to do, unless we were maybe looking to do something else, is move it there, because black's next move would be to capture, and lose a bishop like that wouldn't be a good idea. Okay, so let's just go back. Okay, so bishops move on diagonals. You've got a light squared and a dark squared bishop. Your queen, oh, I haven't covered the queen yet. Okay, well, the queen can't jump, but the queen can move in any direction. Okay, and it can move any direction, any number of squares to capture. Let's see if we can just go back a few moves. Hold on a second. Right. Let's just get to a position where we've got room to show queen moves. We can get the queen out in the middle of the board somewhere. Okay, so queen's in the middle of the board at the moment. So now this is where, I mean, the queen can be an absolutely devastating piece simply because it can do so much. So it can move or threaten to move in any direction. So I'm using a trackpad here and not a mouse. So for some reason, okay, not okay. So again, any diagonal. Hopefully you've got the idea by now. I don't know if this thing only lets you draw lines in so many lines before it says enough is enough. Okay, so that shows you the power of the queen. So it can roam right across the board, and it's such a powerful piece. You've really got to look after your queen. I'm pretty good at giving mine away. In actual fact, I'll probably excel at giving mine away. But try not to give your queen away. It's a pretty valuable piece. And last but not least, because I nearly forgot, good training video this, isn't it? Okay, is your king. Okay, your king can only move one square at a time, and it can move in any direction, one square at a time, but he's not allowed to move into what would be a position where he would be in check. So if I just move that there and then move this rook here, okay, if I try and move the king there, boof, it won't let me, simply because this knight is attacking this square here. Okay, so when I click it, and that square there of course, but when I click the king, it says these are the squares that are available. This square is occupied, and these squares it can't move to because it would be moving into a position of check because of where the squares the knight is attacking. So that's a quick walkthrough of pieces and how they move around the board and how powerful they can be. But I mean, all pieces from pawns up to the queen can be really strong. It depends on the position you happen to be in. But pawns, although they're only worth a single point in a game, bishops and knights are worth about 3. I think in the scoring, I think Stockfish, which is the computer engine on Lichess, values them at just over 3. Queen's worth, I think the rook is worth 5, and I think the queen's worth 8 or something like that, 8 or 9 points, quite a lot anyway. And that's the way pieces are graded. And one other useful bit of information: if you're on the analysis board, as we are here, there's a little bar on the side, and if you're playing an actual real position, okay, it will show here which side the computer thinks is best. So if your white bar is right up here, then that means black's a goner, or should be, and vice versa. So if the black bar's right down here, then black should really be winning in that position. But anyway, that's a bit further down the line. I'm not sure I'm good enough to cover that stuff, but hopefully if you're new and a beginner at chess, then you've seen something in this little video that will help you and encourage you to start playing. Like I say, it's great fun. You can get on Lichess, you can jump in, you can just play against the computer if you like. You don't have to go and start playing players online. When you're setting a game up, something I didn't cover, and I'll just go back to that. Okay, there's a rating range here. Okay, so if you're a beginner, you may want to move that down, move those sliders down, so it only picks players up that are hopefully in the same sort of ranges as you. And if you're a beginner, then you'll be down the bottom end here. I'm sort of just up here a little bit, so not much further forward than that. So that's the other thing that's really quite important about creating a game. And if you're in the lobby area, then you can see the rating of the players. So that allows you to make a decision, say, okay, well, I'll play someone who's close to my rating, or you can go, well, I fancy a bit of a kick in here maybe, and you can choose to play a much higher rated player and on the time control that they've specified in the game when they set it up. If you've got any comments, please keep them nice, and if you ask any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. If you post something not very nice, then I definitely won't, because I'm not interested. So if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Okay, so I say, because kids may be watching this video, this is aimed at beginners, and I'm hoping that beginners, will feature kids. So if you're going to put comments on, please keep them nice, because we don't know who's reading, and we're all here for fun. That's the aim of the game at the end of the day. So I'm going to sign off now. That's me done for the day. So my next video will probably be my first step into playing a live game online, and I've got a couple of players in the BYP fan club who've asked me to give them a game. So keep your eye on that. That'll be up in the next day or two, as soon as we can organise that. VA Roadster from America has asked me to give him a game. He's a pretty high rated player, he's pretty good. Vampire Tozer has been on. I think he's from Serbia. I've played him a few times. He's pretty good, to say the least. And I think there's Ashes on there, and I know BYP wants to have a game. And I dare say Yozanim and I think Akamanzi has signed up as a subscriber. So thank you to anyone that's signed up so far. And if you like it, tell your friends. If you don't like it, don't. Okay, all right, this is Boris. Thanks very much for your time. I appreciate the time you put into watching, and I'm hoping we can turn this little channel into something really, really quite good. So thank you very much, and we will see you all again soon.